He did not choose fire at the moment he lit it. He chose it when he learned that duty mattered more than mercy, and never questioned what that belief would eventually demand. Robert took Storm's End and left Stannis inside it, charged with holding the castle while the world burned elsewhere. The siege closed slowly. Food ran out. Horses were slaughtered. Rats vanished. Men thinned and weakened in the corridors. Stannis kept the gates shut while his garrison starved. He did not surrender. He did not flee. When Davos smuggled onions through the blockade, Stannis survived. Survival cost him nothing in his mind. It was simply the price of doing what was required. From that moment, endurance replaced choice. He learned that holding the line mattered more than what the line cost the people behind it. Robert won the throne and rewarded the men who fought at his side. Stannis was not among them. Storm's End was taken from him and given to Renly. Dragonstone was handed over instead. Stannis accepted it without protest. He swallowed the slight and named it duty. What he lost was not land, but recognition. The meaning came after. He learned that righteousness did not guarantee reward. It only guaranteed obligation. If justice existed, it was impersonal, and it did not care who felt overlooked. At court, Stannis watched the Lannisters grow comfortable in power. He noticed debts. He counted names. He saw patterns others ignored. When Jon Arryn died, Stannis did not grieve in public. He withdrew. He returned to Dragonstone and began to read. The books did not comfort him. They confirmed what he already believed. The king's heirs were not legitimate. The realm rested on a lie. What was lost here was simplicity. He could no longer believe the world was merely unjust. It was now wrong. Meaning followed. If the throne was built on falsehood, then removing that falsehood became a duty, not a desire. When Robert died, Stannis declared himself king without asking who would follow. The banners did not come. Renly crowned himself instead. Men chose smiles over law. Stannis watched his younger brother gather armies with ease. He did not adjust his claim. He did not bargain. He did not soften. What closed here was the door of persuasion. He learned that legality without affection isolates. But isolation did not weaken the belief. It hardened it. If the world refused lawful order, then force would have to carry it. Melisandre arrived at Dragonstone offering certainty. She did not flatter him. She did not promise comfort. She spoke of destiny and darkness. She showed him leeches and spoke names. When those men died, coincidence was not questioned. Stannis did not embrace her god. He accepted her usefulness. What he lost was doubt. He learned that results mattered more than understanding. If power worked, then it was permitted. Faith became a tool, not a refuge. Renly camped at Bitterbridge with the larger army. Stannis went to parley and stood alone in the tent of his brother. They spoke of claims. Renly laughed. Stannis did not. That night, Renly died screaming as a shadow cut him down. Stannis was not present, but the victory was his. What vanished was innocence. Even if he did not wield the weapon, the path had accepted murder as payment. The meaning followed quietly. If the realm could be saved through a single death, then death could be weighed, measured, justified. The army followed him now, but it was smaller than it should have been. Storm's End opened its gates, not out of love, but out of fear. Stannis marched on King's Landing, believing that law would eventually prevail if pressed hard enough. The Blackwater shattered that belief. Fire fell from the river. Ships burned. Men screamed and vanished in green flame. His army broke. He fled with a handful of survivors. What was lost was inevitability. Law alone could not overcome chaos. Meaning followed in retreat. If order was to survive, it needed more than men. On Dragonstone, Stannis stared into the dark and listened. The Red Woman spoke of a war beyond crowns. She spoke of a darkness that did not negotiate. Stannis remembered the fire on the river. He remembered the screams. He accepted the scale of it. What closed was the option of moderation. If the threat was absolute, then responses had to be absolute as well. Half measures became moral failures. He went north to answer the Night's Watch. He did not do it for gratitude. He did it because the Wall stood where law still mattered. At the Wall, he saw men who had chosen duty over life. He recognized them. The war against the wildlings was won not through mercy, but through resolve. He offered terms. Those who bent lived. Those who refused burned. What was lost was distinction. Justice and punishment began to share the same shape. The meaning was immediate. Order was something imposed, not negotiated. Shireen watched him from the shadows of the yard. She was obedient. She was quiet. He had taught her to read. He had never taught her to be loved. She was a duty, like everything else. When Melisandre spoke of king's blood, Stannis did not answer at first. He turned away. The door was not closed yet, but it narrowed. He had already accepted that blood could serve purpose. He had already accepted that fire revealed truth. Meaning waited, suspended, waiting for the next loss. Snow closed in around his army as they marched south from the Wall. Horses died. Men deserted. Supplies vanished. Stannis pressed on. Retreat meant abandoning claim. Abandoning claim meant admitting that law could fail. That was a belief he could not survive losing. When the storm trapped them, choice disappeared. What remained was calculation. Meaning emerged in the cold. If survival of the realm required sacrifice, then sacrifice was no longer cruelty, it was obligation. Melisandre spoke again. This time, Stannis listened without anger. The fire would wake stone dragons. The fire would clear the path. The fire demanded what was precious. What vanished was the last illusion that belief could remain clean. He learned that once duty is placed above love, love becomes expendable. The belief did not change, it completed itself. The fire was built before the decision was spoken. Wood stacked, oil poured, men ordered into place. No one asked why. Orders moved faster than doubt. Shireen was brought forward, wrapped in wool, confused, trusting. She did not struggle at first. She believed her father would explain. What was lost before the flame touched her was not her life, but her certainty that obedience was safe. Meaning arrived too late for mercy. She learned that duty did not protect those who served it. Stannis stood apart and did not turn away. The screams cut through the camp and tore order from its shape. Men shouted, horses panicked. Some looked to their king and found him unmoving. What vanished in that moment was authority grounded in restraint. The meaning followed brutally. If a king can burn his child, then nothing beneath him is secure. Rule became terror stripped of justification. The fire burned out and left only smoke and ash. The storm did not break. The snow did not recede. No miracle followed. What was lost was the promise that belief would be rewarded. Stannis did not rage. He did not collapse. He absorbed the absence. Meaning formed in the hollow. Duty did not guarantee results. It only demanded payment. The army thinned. Men slipped away in the night. Others stared at him with something colder than fear. He issued commands, and watched them land without weight. What closed was loyalty. It had been traded for obedience earlier, and obedience had now exhausted itself. Meaning followed quietly. Authority, sustained only by belief, collapses when belief is spent. Melisandre insisted the fire had worked in ways unseen. Stannis listened and found no comfort in explanation. He had already paid the highest price he understood. Anything beyond that was noise. What vanished was faith as assurance. Meaning sharpened instead. Belief was no longer about hope. It was about consistency. He could not undo what he had done without destroying the rule that justified it. They marched again, smaller, slower. Ramsay's riders harried them in the snow. Supplies burned. Men died nameless.
Stannis ordered discipline and received silence. What was lost was momentum. Meaning followed with pressure. Once fear replaces conviction, command becomes hollow gesture. When the battle came, it was brief and confused. Lines broke, standards fell. Stannis fought on foot with a sword too heavy for a tired man. He killed who came close. He did not retreat. Retreat would mean admitting that the belief had led nowhere. What vanished was the future. Meaning came with exhaustion. If duty was all that remained, then survival without purpose was failure. Wounded, he was found by Brienne of Tarth. She named her cause. She named her dead king. Stannis did not argue his claim. He did not defend his choices. He asked for nothing. What was lost here was the need to persuade. Meaning emerged in stillness. When belief consumes every alternative, explanation becomes unnecessary. He knelt because standing no longer served any function. The sword rose. The story ended without fire. What remained was the shape of the belief itself, visible only after everything else was burned away. Duty without mercy does not harden into justice. It narrows until only sacrifice remains, and then demands it endlessly.